This one. It's funny.
I actually disagree with you on a number of policies, but didn't feel like entitled to come to the front by any means. My main question.
You're the greatest leftist ever. You didn't feel a sense of entitled. This is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So my question is, I'm just not really sure what's the downside of converting our energy system towards more green energy, such as
So, well, yeah, I'll just let it go because it's
wind power and solar power. To me, the idea of moving in a more sustainable direction for our energy our production is just more about creating jobs that produces a lack of reliance on oil and things that are inherently non-renewable and foreign exports.
Yep. So if you got rid of just the oil industry, if you just got rid of the energy industry that the Green New Deal seeks to get rid of.
So the guy asked, what's the downside of replacing our current energy system with one that's renewable? And now he's answering a question on if you just remove that system, which I don't why? What are you answering this question for? But
you would immediately destroy 5.8 million jobs. Those are just jobs New Deal seeks to get rid of. You would immediately destroy 5.8 million jobs. Those are just jobs relating directly to that energy sector.
Yeah, you would be eliminating those jobs, but why is that a problem when we're replacing it? It's not like the Green New Deal just asked for the annihilation of the oil industry without a replacement. And considering this is something that should happen over the next 10 years, people should have enough time to adjust to a new job in the energy field, the clean energy field, whatever you want to call it.
Obviously, there are a zillion jobs downstream of that. And obviously, if you kill off 88% of American energy, you don't just kill off 5.8 million jobs, you kill off virtually all of the jobs. Why not convert to some...
I really don't understand his argument. This is the second time we went through it. I really don't understand his argument now. Okay, so he's arguing that you would eliminate all the jobs, even though you wouldn't, because you would replace them with some other form of energy. So I don't know why he's completely ignoring the whole clean energy thing. He realistically answers all of these questions as if he doesn't know that solar panels and windmills exist. It's really weird. So we'll go on to this next point. I thought his argument was going to center around jobs. But I don't think it does. I thought he would come up with an argument like, oh, well, if you eliminate these coal industry jobs, what makes you think that they will, those people will be able to transfer into clean energy if those clean energy jobs are more high tech or whatever, blah, blah, blah. That could be a somewhat sound argument. I don't really see the argument, but he could make that argument. But I don't think he does. I think he just says well, if you eliminate all the jobs, they're all gone. And then he completely ignores the replacement part. Now he's going to ask about nuclear energy.
Hypothetical, clean, wonderful avatar energy source. Show me the energy source that could provide American energy. You talk about how
solar panels, wind, hydro, those are all clean, renewable energy sources that don't release carbon emissions. Fuck.
We have reliance on foreign fuels. We found that biggest oil deposit ever in 2016. We're the biggest producer in the world.
Which is a bad thing.
This is a wonderful thing. This is something that we should embrace. This idea of scarcity is a fiction.
Okay, great. Who cares if oil is scarce or not? Eventually, one day, it will all disappear. It just depends on if we're going to kill our planet first or not. So now, again, I don't know where this kid made the argument about scarcity. He didn't. He asked him, what's the problem with switching over to clean energy? And now he's on some tangent about it being scarce and about you eliminating all the jobs, which the word replacement was used. So I don't know how you're eliminating jobs for replacing them. So he hasn't answered the question at all yet. Not even close.
Idea that we're just depleting our resources and they'll all be gone in 15 years.
Oh, and he thinks that magical energy, he doesn't even know, it seems currently, right now, he doesn't know that solar panels exist and windmills and stuff like that. I think
the question you asked is, what is the downside of killing off 88% of the...
So here we go. Now it's confirmed that he's completely misinterpreted the question. Because now he's going to reword his question back to this kid who won't respond, saying that's not at all what I said. I said replace the jobs. So you can't. The jobs aren't eliminated if they're replaced with another job, right?
The American economy, outlawing. You asked it, and I'm relating it to the Green New Deal.
Even though the Green New Deal doesn't say to eliminate it all, it says to replace it.
Outlawing gas-powered cars within 10 years.
Yep. What's the problem with that? If we get electric cars, then
outlawing jet fuel-powered jets within 10 years. Of
Yep.
knocking down and rebuilding.
Because if we can set up a train system that's more efficient, faster, whatever, and cleaner than planes.
Building all the buildings within 10 years. What's the downside of spending 93?
Oh. Also, obviously, this is how you're supposed to interpret the Green New Deal. It doesn't mean eliminate all air travel everywhere. Obviously, there's going to be air travel across the oceans. Duh.
$3 trillion.
Which just means like within the United States.
80% marginal tax rates, killing American ingenuity. And then once...
So he says the word marginal tax rate, but doesn't explain it all. So he just says killing American ingenuity. But how? If it's an 80% marginal tax rate, that means that the top marginal tax rate is 80%. Even though no one has suggested that. AOC just suggested 70%. Nobody suggested 80. And that 80 would be applied to like millions of dollars.
Once you kill off all of the people who make all these jobs and who grow our economy, then you just start printing money, making the global reserve currency, I don't know, like the paper in Venezuela. What's the downside of that? What's the upside of that?
So he hasn't answered the question at all with replacing, like what's the problem with replacing coal factories with, let's say, solar farms? He hasn't answered that question. He just thinks that replacing means completely annihilate and don't replace.
Sorry, can I ask a follow-up? My question was more about just the idea of like converting to more clean energy, and that like if you're creating jobs through infrastructure and like these...
Okay, my bad. He kind of answered it properly. I'll re-ask the question. I kind of forget what happens after this.
Jobs that will create more clean energy for us, wouldn't that, what's the term? Counteract the idea of taking away the jobs from the like coal industry?
Well, maybe. I'm all for creating jobs, but you don't create jobs by the government going and deciding there are a lot of jobs and we're going to cut you all a check. That's not a sustainable way to grow jobs in an economy. I'm all for innovative sources of energy. I'm all for nuclear energy, the most efficient source of energy, which for some reason the left...
Here's the reason. Yes, solar, if done properly, is the most efficient and cleanest form of energy, kind of. The nuclear waste from it apparently can all be stored in like one mountain and will last us like tens of billions of years, whatever. So it is an eager replacement. The problem is that if at any point, let's say we set up 100 nuclear power plants to power like a whole nation, that's all it takes, whatever. If like one or two of them fail and cause like radioactive leakage across like a whole, that place is completely uninhabitable for like the next whatever amount of years. So it hurts expansion. If you have a nuclear power plant that just like Chernobyl, right? Nobody lives still in Chernobyl still, and I'm pretty sure it's safe to live there, but
broadly has rejected. Why? I don't know. Maybe there's some answer to be found in that talk that we just had. I'm all for that. But then bring me the energy. Bring me an efficient source of energy. To compare oil and natural gas and coal and nuclear, reliable, efficient forms of energy.
Oh, hold on, the wheel of my fucking seat just came up. So, anyways, what I'm saying is that he wants another source of energy. Wind, solar, hydro, thermal from the, like, geothermal energy. I think the technology for that is being nicely developed. There's kinetic through the waves on the ocean.
To windmills is comparing apples and oranges. They are not the same thing. Now, if
You're right. So if we only use windmills, you'd be right. But he's gonna bring this down. I'm pretty sure he brings this argument down to just efficiency, and it makes more fucking.
We're saying, why don't we spend, I don't know, $30 trillion or $2 trillion to promote these companies? The trouble is, what seeps in is cronyism and failure. They tried that during the Obama administration. Specifically, they tried it with a company called Solyndra, and it was rampant with corruption. What did it do? Not very much. When the government tries to innovate, innovation doesn't happen. We already...
Okay, do you have any evidence for that? Probably not. It's okay. Because I'm pretty sure the military is like one of the reasons for most of our advancements. And guess what? That's a government program.
are moving to more efficient forms of energy, and we're using energy in a more efficient way.
Yeah. And guess what's more efficient? The solar panels. Well, like cleaner, like pollution efficient.
This is a good thing. I'm not opposed to that. But if your question is, why don't we try to accelerate that
like emissions
beyond the bounds of what people are actually doing, then I would just say because fantasies are not reality.
Okay, but how is it a fantasy? What is a fantasy about switching from coal to solar? Like, I don't fucking... He never fucking directly answers the question. It makes me want to fucking kill myself. Because it's just like... Oh my god. Like, it doesn't make... Okay, what's the problem with switching from solar to... Or from coal to, like, solar energy, wind energy, stuff like that? What is the issue with that? The arguments I could see against it, even though there's not many, would be... if you switch too quickly, you have the chance of alienating the people who work in the coal industry, because you're just moving on to a new form of like a workload. Like, they have to switch their entire life's work to that without any like warning. But the thing is that the Green New Deal is a 10-year deal, right? Basically, so. Or it's like something to aspire to. So if we get this done eventually, then, like, you know, it's like however long it needs to take. It's not like we need to do this in 2 years. We kind of need to do it in 12 years, but, you know, that's enough time. Like, if you can't switch your education in 5 years max, then you got fucking problems. So yeah. So I don't think the jobs is a very good argument against it. The efficiency argument I don't see, because I don't care if 1 pound of coal produces more energy than, this is kind of a weird like analogy, but 1 pound of solar, right? Like, I'm not sure how you measure it basically, but the same amount of energy, like the same amount of coal you use, you get more energy out of coal than you do solar per like whatever amount, per set amount that like whatever's comparable. So I'm just gonna go with 1 pound of coal gets you more energy than 100 pounds of than 1 pound of solar energy. But I don't give a shit about that if it's saving our environment. Okay, so 1 pound of coal produces vastly more carbon emissions than the 1 pound of solar. So if it only takes 1 pound of coal to power the entirety of the United States, but it only takes 10 pounds of solar, or even 100 pounds of solar to power the United States, what's the problem there? The efficiency isn't the... I don't care about how efficient it is, how little coal you have to burn to power the nation. I care about just having the power at hand, right? And if solar panels can do it, wind, solar, hydro, geothermic, if all those things can do it, what's the issue with switching over?